Hello. Okay. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Okay. Jesus. I'm looking for a man in music. 2 kids. Has a big dick. Has guns. Compound. Can also find the clit. What was it? Looking for a man in music. 5'6". Has kids. Big dick. Has guns. Compound. Can find the clit. We doing it, okay? I didn't, I was hearing everybody's. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to come up with anything. It's a collaborative effort. Okay. Happy Saturday evening, everybody. Let me put some music on. There was somebody that wanted us to react to their music video. I don't think we got the name of the artist, but if you're watching this, I would love to. Is the audio okay? Oh. Yeah, we were gonna. I saw your comment. We'll do it tonight. I just like to have something else going as well. So I figured we could actually focus and do the Lauren Chen video. Let's see. We'll do that for like 30 minutes. See how far we go with it. And then we can do a call-in. I just got to make sure, Ronnie, if you're watching this, I'm going to need some help if we do that. We're chilling. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking for a man who's 5'6", likes kids, has them, 2 baby mamas. Just kidding. I want to do so many different ones that's like some guy is going to watch it like, oh, that's me. I don't know. If you guys have good ones, put in the chat. And for those wondering, there's a trend on TikTok. This girl said she was looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. I just skip right through here.
Be pushing to enforce those moral standards, preaching those moral standards.
Which church?
Christian churches, like the church is the body of Christ.
Yeah, but the problem is that within Protestantism, you have so many different denominations, so many of them which embrace feminism, LGBTQ, this type of thing. They have no unified message. Only the traditional churches, Orthodoxy and Catholicism, do. That's it. That's why the Muslims have become so popular where they're at when they're pushing traditional values. That's the reason why. So I can tell you how you can actually make a lifeline to these guys if you actually want to bring them over to your side. If you really want to understand how you can fix this problem, you fix the problem with a move to patriarchy. That's the thing red pillars will embrace, a move to patriarchal systems. That's what Christianity can offer to the secularists, which bring them over to our side, a move to patriarchy. Because absent patriarchy, what has happened...
Churches need to embrace that.
Yeah, but they have no ecclesiastical authority. Because there's no ecclesiology, they can't do it. Protestant churches can't do it. They don't have the necessary ecclesiology in order to move into a patriarchal system. They don't have preference for marriage. They don't have any laws or bylaws regarding marriage. They have no laws or bylaws regarding anything, whereas the traditional churches do have that ecclesiastical authority. That's why the traditional Abrahamic religions do so well, and why Protestantism does not do so well. And so hang on, I'm almost done. When you're making the advocation for this, the reason...
Can somebody summarize Lauren Chen's stance? Does anybody know? If I had to guess, just from tradcons who make content, is that they believe you can only control your inner circle. So the stuff that they promote, patriarchy, if you will, getting married, having kids, Jesus, the whole thing. They say you can't control the masses, but you can control it on an individual level. I don't even think she knows her stance. I'm done. I don't know why I thought that was funny. It's not tradcom, but more generic Republican. Okay. Okay. So I'm guessing that Andrew's looking for a solution. Andrew's always trying to solve it. I'm just kidding. That's the thing with red pill is it just is. There are no solutions. You cannot go backwards. Andrew had a pretty good reasoning for why it was possible. I don't recall what it was. If somebody remembers, you can put it in the chat. I think if I had to guess, he would say something like, we are so collapsed. We are so at the end of civilization. Like society has collapsed. We got to pick up the pieces. So because it's collapsed, we can only just revert back to tradition, right? Something like that. Could that work? Could we go back to tradition? Well, that's what tradition is, isn't it? Something like to me in my brain when I see tradition, the word, I think of like a scientific study that's all that you can't prove is right or wrong, but it's always worked and it's reliable. So you can go back to it. That's how I see it. The issue is that there's certain traditions that promote immoral, fucked up shit like honor killings. I believe these are in East Asia, where you like kill your wife if the husband dies. It's like, oh, remind me again why I don't want a man. I'm just kidding. But what do you do? Oh, Ian, I see you. The title for the call-in should be called Whose Labels? Okay, we'll do that. Why do they have to be a doomer on everything? Red pill specifically? I know. I've been saying that since the beginning. Y'all are okay, miserable. Get it together. But the only reason why we find it miserable, if you will, is because we're attaching a belief set to it, essentially. As a man, also a man who the head of the household as a woman follows her man, as he's the one to manage and make all the decisions. So what are the pros and cons to that? Like, why is it that society doesn't want to do that? You could say it's feminism, but I would say it's more the track record. But that could go for either thing. Now that women don't need most men, they don't want to listen to men. Is it possible that the men drove things to the ground poorly? I mean, who do we blame the entire mess on? We can't blame anybody. It's just a result of other decisions. But why is it that women are so reluctant to? Put it in the chat.
That you have a pro-feminist stance without even knowing it is because if you want to solve the problem on the red pill side and the Christ pill side, the one unifier that you have is a patriarchal systems. They will agree with that and you can move them out of that. But just selling them, oh no, just be monogamous, that doesn't do anything for them because who are the women left? They get the leftovers to be monogamous with. That's what they get.
The feeling's mutual. Andrew. I'm just kidding. So there's something that I hear a lot when we talk about these things in the space. And we focus on well, the men get the leftovers. But what about the women? I know. Well, their opinion doesn't fucking matter. Well, mine does. So you got to live with me. Here we are. You don't want me on the other side, I promise. But seriously, what do women get? And I don't mean that in a mean way or anything. I'm just, a lot of times we focus on the benefits that the guy has. But if you want to make women more incentivized to follow your lead, what you got? If I had to steel man a female's position, it's that women give up their entire lives to marry these men, and the men cheat on them. And you got some people in certain spaces saying a high value man can cheat. Well, if that were the case, women wouldn't be divorcing at the level that they are. So obviously they can't. Why do men want to cheat? Is it really the variety thing? Or is it because we've conditioned men to base their level of masculinity off of the number of women they have, so they just want to? Or is it because men don't know how to seek out reward in other areas? I don't know. Like, can men have fun in other areas? Probably. But is it because of porn? We try to blame porn for a lot of things. I've even tried to do this in the past, but I can't find conclusive research that indicates like a direct correlation between porn and other issues. I have seen that most divorces, like not most, but 68%, so it's more than half, say that porn was one of their assumed like bigger factors into the breakdown of the relationship. But my question is, were you fucking? Why is he watching it? If a man is drained, he won't. If a man is drained, I don't know. Somebody make that rhyme. Women don't notice what they get. They don't give up they do though. They do. They do, because like what I hear from women is that you can give up your entire life, be a stay-at-home mom, raise beautiful kids together, create a beautiful home, and the man can still not want you. And you're like, well, most men don't file divorces. Just because they don't file doesn't mean that they aren't checking out of a relationship. Like when we say that men are not the ones breaking up the relationship, it's kind of bizarre, because men are people too. Men have feelings, emotions, and men are not these machines who do nothing else but work. Okay. Men want to have a good life too. Speaking of, side note, have you guys seen that there's a new lawnmower that works like the robot vacuum? Have y'all seen this shit? It's like $3,000, $2,000. If you find it cheaper, let me know. But it mows your lawn for you. Guys, we live in a beautiful time right now. I want one. I want to get one. But how is that giving up your life? Because women will give up everything for a guy to come back 10 years later and say they don't want to be together anymore. Guys walk out of relationships more often than not, to the point where they've had to create laws in America, like man abandons family type shit. So it does happen. I knew girls, and this is anecdotal, but like, I mean, what are we? A bunch of, we just listen to stats. Like, no, I know people who have gotten involved with men not knowing that they were married. And then some of them, when the wife found out, the man left the wife to be with them, like got up and just moved. Some men have given papers without women thinking there was anything wrong. And for those that don't understand, maybe at the level of what I'm talking about, this would be male hypergamy. This is that uncertainty that they're going to find something else better. And I'm sick and tired of acting like men have no standards, especially married men. If anybody has the most standards or gets the most pee, it's the ones that women pick. Just saying. Both women and men abandon their families. I know they do. But I'm just saying there's another side to the breakdown of relationships. A lot of men in the space, in comments specifically, will be like, we need to eradicate no-fault divorce. And I'm like, so you want somebody to be forced to stay with you, or you be forced to stay with somebody you hate? Why? I personally don't think you should get married. I don't have a track record that would say that I'm marriage material at all. I agree with this, torshaa. Yeah. Like, I never saw myself having a wedding. I've seen myself getting married in Vegas last minute. Shotgun wedding. I'm just kidding. But maybe I have a track record. It depends. It depends. My longest relationship was on and off for like 7 years. So some people would say that is, but I would say that that is the typical year, or what is it? Like year 7 of marriage, people, it makes or breaks you. So I think I need a little bit more growing up to do, or I don't know what you would call it. Yeah, I also take care of my mom and stuff. So that kind of just shot my idea of ever moving into the next chapter in that regard. I know people in my chat who are also in the same position probably feel the same way. How old am I? I am 29. My half birthday is in July. We also have to remember, so you're a cheater. No, I'm not a fucking cheater. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a cheater. I do very well in boredom. For somebody who used to work in nightlife, nightlife gets a lot of bad, like people saying that if they work in nightlife, they must be XYZ, and it's just not true. Everybody I know that works in nightlife they're like the type of people that you would think are like dopamine stricken, like high risker sort of thing. And no, we just flourish in those areas of high demand and stress. But I don't know any of them that went on to not do anything really spectacular, whether that's having a family, whether that's getting like a day job. I don't know. You see a lot of creative people in the space, but that are like dope. I hate that word, but just like no bullshit. I'm sure there's some bullshit, but you see more bullshit with like the guests that are trying to pretend to be something they're not. It's like bartenders are like, let's take a shot. I got into private investigating because I was looking to transition into another job, and I've had somebody, actually my friend's ex-boyfriend, unbeknownst to me at the time, like they hired a PI on me and they had a bunch of pictures taken. I was like, this is weird. How interesting would it be to learn some of the tricks of the trade? It was right before COVID, actually. And I did it for like 6 months. I shadowed, if you will. It wasn't really... It's like I got to sit in a car for hours. It's one of my favorite pastimes, actually. Like everybody that knows me knows I love to chill in my car. But Michael agreed. Marriage could be living with someone more than a year. The wall is coming. Oh, darn. Oh, no. I hope the annoying men just leave me alone. I'm just kidding. I gotta say though, I've never really been harassed at a gas station. I think only once. So I have that going for me.
All right. Well, I mean, when it comes to things like divorce within the Catholic Church, at least if we're going with nominal Catholics, it is still high, unfortunately.
Depends on the country. That's one.
Yeah.
And
Depends
there's influencers which happen inside of Western nations, especially due to feminism. In Orthodoxy, the rates are
Also, let's talk about the wall really quickly, because I actually had a really good take on this. I talk about this often. Men need to get rid of this idea that women hit the wall. And I say that with love because it's an indication that men are still putting women on a pedestal. I don't think men are aware of this, but the only thing that changes when a woman hits the wall is that now she has men that are younger going after her as well. And people are like, well, they pump and dump them. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Single moms, for instance, are killing it. They're killing it. Like, so a woman without kids, do what you will with that information. Okay, do what you will. Plus, I'm just waiting for the influx of divorced men. You know, I want somebody who's been through some shit. I don't want anybody that's like, da, da, da.
Very, very, very low. Also, Orthodoxy offers the ecclesiastical authority and the requisite to get married outside of the state. It's not a requirement because these are sacraments. These are messages which you can give to actual red pillars to move them over to Christ. What you can't tell them to do, though, is, hey, take the big risk and the big gamble because Jesus would really like it if you did. That's insane messaging.
That's not my position, by the way, to take the risk and the gamble, to just roll the dice. I absolutely don't think that's a good idea for men to do. And I think that there are definitely things that you can do that would reduce your likelihood of getting divorced. I don't think you should just roll the dice. Absolutely not.
Well, then what is your prescription other than a move to patriarchy?
I don't think a move to patriarchy is not part of that answer. Again, I said that even in regard to the church, but I also think that there are certain mate selections that you can do that do have a statistical likelihood at reducing your chances of divorce, right? Socioeconomic status of married couples has an outcome. It affects your likeliness of divorce.
Yeah, but it also affects the outcome of you having children because you have them later in life because of family planning. And so what ends up happening is it's the poor and the downtrodden and those who reject materialism who are going to inherit the earth because they're the only ones who are breeding. It's actually bad advice to tell people to wait until later in life to get married because you're going to...
Okay. Wait, wouldn't women who already have children and get remarried are getting the leftover men? I don't know where this came from. That's like, if people are not married by 30, they're leftover, men or women. I guess you could make a case for it, but you guys have to remember, like, the entire world has gone through something like COVID for 2 years. What, 2 or 3 years it took away from people's lives? That really affects people mentally. Not just some people, everybody. Everybody. Shit, I should be 29 minus 3, baby. Just kidding. Men in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s are not leftover men. And women in their 30s and 40s, 50s and 60s are not leftover women. Like, if that's the way that you see it, what's your excuse? Right? Like, if you only have to pick from the leftover pool, something tells me you're leftover, right? People don't have a timeline on life, especially the more that we move into like the more we move on in life. Like, I feel like there's less of a societal standard. Whether that's a good or bad thing is, I mean, depends on how you want to look at it. I don't know. But I think some people, whether they go through stuff in their early adulthood, go through stuff as teenagers, it takes some time to work through that. So people are going to be a little bit more behind. That doesn't mean that they're leftover. Like, that just means that They were like a late night snack, you know? The 24-hour bar food. They're not leftover. They're not day old food. Come on.
Destroy the chance of them having more children.
I'm not telling people to wait later in life to get married, but I think there's sometimes the willingness to believe that there is one likelihood of divorce, and that it's a roll of the dice no matter what the circumstances are, which is patently not true. And there's a big differential, even if you look at between different races, of the likelihood of divorce. The black divorce rate, I think,
that's because different races embrace different types of ecclesiastical authority inside of their churches. Namely, some of them have none. And that's why when the church effectively had some sort of body to it inside of black communities, you did not see these divorce rates nearly as high because they had a more traditional foundation for what it was that they were going for.
At this point, if I found a woman who can chew food with her mouth closed, sign me up. I'm looking for a woman with teeth, closed mouth, chews food, shuts up. Write that down. Write that down.
That's all destroyed. But when you're talking about the entailment of what you just said, though, of, hey, your likelihood for divorce drastically is going to reduce if you have, these different socioeconomic statuses. An entailment of that is going to be that they wait till later to get married. That, in turn, is going to cause us to have less children, which exacerbates the birth rate crisis. These, again, not a great position.
Well, the thing is, when people look at the likelihood of divorce dropping, we're basically talking about IQ here, and bell curve talks about this. Your likelihood of getting divorced is greatly higher if your IQ is lower, and socioeconomic status is kind of like it represents that. And so, if you are a man, absolutely trying to find a woman who is not low IQ, therefore has better impulse control, it is going to reduce your likelihood of getting a divorce. Now, does that simultaneously mean that you have to wait until you're 30 to get married and maybe 35 to have kids? No, I think those are two different things.
The high IQ people are not having children.
Yeah, which is a problem, and I want them to have children.
Yeah, but if you want them to have children, then you have to embrace patriarchy, because we want the smart mothers to stay at home and raise their children. We don't want them in the workforce literally frying their brains on behalf of their boss. We want the really high IQ women. We want the really high IQ women at home raising children to make.
Real talk, raw truth says, I hope my 4 daughters have a good man that is the father of at least 3 kids, working on a 4th by the time they are 25. Wait. That is at least the father, a good man that is the father of at least 3 kids. Or you're the father of at least 3. Unclear. What do you mean? I hope that your daughters become educated, thoughtful, and beautiful young women who never have to worry about the men they pick, because they always pick well. Hopefully they only have to do it, a few times. And to the people that have more than one baby daddy, more than one baby mama, okay, you're not bad either. I'm sick and tired of the leftovers. Listen, if somebody has more than one baby mama, it tells me that you're at least trying. You fucking degens. Listen, you guys can want to plan what you want to do in a certain type of way, but let's be fucking honest. If that were the case, we wouldn't be in this predicament, right?
The next generation of high IQ children. Otherwise, they're wasted. They're wasted in the marketplace. Move to patriarchy is the only answer to this. That's the only way that this can actually be done in a structured way. You can't incentivize them with money. There's no way to incentivize people with money to have children. The poorest among us are the ones who have the children now. So financial incentives are not going to work for them.
How does being a boss chick help with finding a husband and being a stay-at-home mom? Your children's IQ is like 100% correlated to the moms. Even Andrew just said we want the smart, high IQ women raising the kids. Yeah. I don't want a boss chick who paid all this money for a degree. Guys, I know, idiots. Okay, hopefully they got a scholarship. But you absolutely want mom to have some education if you want them to be like The way that I see it, I'm not a parent. If there's something you can guarantee your kids, IQ is one of them. We know that people with a higher IQ have better outcomes in general. This idea that you want your wife's education is you're kicking yourself in the foot. Just because you don't select for it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be grateful for it if you come across it. If you had to choose, you have two hot women. If you have two hot women and one of them is more intelligent, I would hope y'all pick that one. Higher intelligence, there's a lot of things that come with it. Less substance abuse, less reckless behavior, less tickets, less like a lot of shit. The higher IQ, the better. Is it genetic? I don't think so. Is it? Actually, I have no idea. I know it's well, yeah, it is obviously because it depends on moms, but like IQ can change. I know a lot of people act like it can't, but it absolutely can. So if you think you're stupid, start studying. A lep is a ball.
I've long said the idea that the reason why women aren't having children is because of cost is ridiculous. And it's not just the poor in this country who have more children than the rich, but also if we look at a global scale, the places where there's the least economic development, they tend to have the most. It is absolutely a choice that people are making. Now, does that simultaneously mean that I don't think concerns over affordability are, we shouldn't talk about them? No, but I don't think that is the core issue of why
that's a materialist position. It's a materialist position. You having a family should not have anything to do with materialism. It should have to do with the relationship and the sacrament between yourself and Jesus Christ in the submission of your wife to your patriarchal authority and your ability to raise children, even in meager settings. Some of the best people come out of the worst poverty situations. It's not a bar for having a family. The messaging that can come from Christianity only can cross this threshold and Rubicon with the red pill if we have an embrace of patriarchy. That's it. It's the only way. I still haven't actually heard any descriptors of the red pill that you disagree.
Higher intelligence in women in the West means better mind games against men. Tom, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but women don't need an IQ to be manipulative. Quite frankly, the lower IQ and the more that a woman needs from somebody that they don't want to be honest with and they just want to steal and do whatever the fuck. I don't know, actually. Do you think more manipulation comes with higher IQ or lower IQ? Because you could make a case for like corporate America, higher IQ, but you could also make a case for jail. I actually don't know the IQ of those in jail. I'm assuming it's low, but it probably is just average. Because wasn't Ted Bundy intelligent? Like, I bet there's like a mix of high and low. I have to actually be curious. If anybody has research on that, send it to me.
With what are they?
Well, I told you it's the push for the promiscuity, because we also have an overlap with what seems to be the pickup artist mentality, where we have people like Fresh and Fit going on sugar baby sites, right, and sleeping with all.
Yes, women do become leftover. I hate to say this, but marriage benefits men, not women. If you want to get married, calling women leftover is probably not the way to do it. You can do it here, I don't care. But just don't do it anywhere else. You have a digital footprint
of these women.
Yeah, the push towards promiscuity is something which I push back on more than most. But that's not red pill. Just because you're a pickup artist, think of the red pill as a data packet. Inside of the data packet is a ton of information. You can utilize it how you see fit. Can you utilize it for the purposes of nefarious manipulation? Yes. Can you also utilize it for the purposes of help building men up and men's advocacy? Yes. You can't lay at the feet of the red pill the fact that some pickup artists and some people push towards promiscuity. That's not a red pill ideology. Red pill is simply information. That's it. It's descriptive truths which are given out into the ethos, and you can.
Financially, marriage benefits men. They get lower rates on almost every type of insurance they get. Insurance is not cheap for a single man. Men are more likely to get business opportunities if their, I don't know, owner sees that they're married, because nobody wants to do business with somebody that has a fear of commitment. It benefits men. Women facilitate, assuming that they're like doing most of the domestic work or whatever. Women facilitate lives for men that allow them to be their best version. However, marriage is, I'm assuming, really hard, and people, I don't know, what do they mean when they say marriage is hard? Have you guys seen this trend? It's scaring me. I don't want to get married. I've seen some people say marriage is hard because it forces you some like some deep shit. And I'm like, really? It's that serious? Like, it forces you to acknowledge the faults in yourself and work through it. Like, if I was a dude and I didn't get sex for like 2 weeks, assuming I'm pumping with testosterone, and my wife asks me to do anything other than drinking this beer and kicking my feet up after doing a construction job, I'm out. You know, like what do they mean? Those who have been married or are married, what do they mean by that? Is it that you both annoy each other? Is it mundane? Like, I could do the mundane thing. I'm a boring bitch.
Do what you want with those descriptive truths. I've not actually ever heard, and I've been on Fresh and Fit, and I have tangled with Myron on this. And he has told me to my face, yes, it's degenerate behavior. Yes, promiscuity is bad. Yes, promiscuity should be rejected if we had a moral society. Andrew, what are Christians going to do to reach out in order to make sure we have a moral society again? In this case, when I ask you, right, you are telling the degens to get married, which is insane, right?
That's not my prescription to have a moral.
I think we need to come up with something better than marriage. I don't think people should get married, to be honest with you. I don't see any pros that I don't see any pros that outweigh the cons. I think there's a lot more to lose. Not to say, like, I'm not fear mongering. I'm just like, there's got to be an alternative. I personally think marriage license should be equivalent to your driver's license, where you have to go into the DMV and like take a test again. Like, do you still want to be married? No? Okay, bye. Like, but at the same time, do you want to incentivize people to break up because they'll take it? But it's like, they'll do it anyway. It's not like back in the day they were forced to stay together. No, they moved like away from each other way back when. So I don't know.
Moral society is to just get married. That's absolutely not it.
It was it. I caught you in a contradiction on it already. That you're advocating as bad a sin as they are. What is the distinction between them saying go have sex unmarried with a bunch of people and you saying no, get married secularly, absent a sacrament? You're both advocating for the same exact thing, Lauren.
It's not the same exact thing. Even if we just look at the consequentialist, and again, I think you're right. Actually,
you're not a consequentialist. You're a Christian.
But if we look at the outcomes, you can't say that the outcome is the same where you're sleeping with one person for the rest of your life versus you're sleeping with all of these other people. That's actually not the same. It's not
wait.
In terms of the outcome.
But it's still degeneracy on both sides. If they're getting married absent a sacrament, right, they're still degenerates. And if they're promiscuous, they're still degenerates. You're both advocating for degeneracy. You're both just doing it in different ways. And that's why guys like me exist to push back on these ideologies, because it's nuts. It's actually crazy.
Well, I think, again, I will say you're right about the civil marriage thing, and I will thank you for elucidating that for me. That's totally fine. But I think even if we look at purely from a secular standpoint, with the acknowledgement that a civil marriage is not a sacramental marriage, and therefore is sinful, if we look at the outcomes of things like promiscuity involving multiple partners, then we have children being born out of wedlock.
You still have them being born out of wedlock. Your prescription also would have children being born out of wedlock.
Yeah, but to multiple baby mamas and things like that,
Well,
which is objectively worse. And
Okay,
if we
so
look
now
at
you're
the outcomes like
consequentialist
poverty-
again. Now you're consequentialist
hang on.
again.
And if we look at the outcomes like poverty, think like abuse, there is a difference between a secular married couple versus just sleeping with a bunch of women. There's a difference.
Okay. So just to get this right, I get it. You're advocating for degeneracy light. Got it. Like, does that I don't know how that makes it better that you advocate for degeneracy light
I'm not
instead
advocating,
of
you're right, I'm not
tons of
advocating
degeneracy.
for that marriage in the first place, but I can still recognize that the outcomes are different, and one is measurably worse than the other.
Yeah, but the
100%
outcomes, you're
it's
not
worse.
a consequentialist.
Wait, Andrew, what about the gays? I want Andrew's take on the gays. I am straight, but don't come for my gays. Okay. Love them. I think that I'd have to see what the rates are. I'm so curious between heterosexual and then like homosexual. Like, who has a higher rate of divorce? Who do you guys think? I don't know. I know lesbians have the highest ones. I wonder why. Maybe we are that horrible to be married to.
Christians don't follow consequentialism. While it's true we can look at outcomes, you're supposed to be following virtues and the teachings of Jesus Christ, not of what the consequences of your higher duties are. If you were a consequentialist and a Christian, that would be absent the Christian ethic and the Christian ethos, period. And it doesn't even follow with the logos. None of this follows, Lauren. None of it follows.
And the reason I ask is because one thing that I hate the most about this society that we live in, hear me out, okay, hear me out, it may trigger some people, but I have a reason for this, is that when we talk about religion, we want to say something like homosexuality is a sin. That's fine and dandy for your own beliefs, whatever. The issue comes that when you start to say that XYZ is a sin, that doesn't stop it, right? That doesn't stop people partaking that way. Personally, I don't think it's a choice, but like some people do. But what happens is, and I've seen this in my own experience, my own life and shit, is that men will literally be so homophobic, but actually be bisexual. They marry a woman, they end up sleeping with men on the side, which leads to the breakdown of marriage. So we can keep, and this is my criticism of maybe the more tradcon side, is we can say in so-and-so's world with a paintbrush, let's just make it, no, this would be that would be a sin, no more of that. And it's like, but behavior still trumps. Behavior will always trump. It doesn't have to be illegal, right? So my question is, when you decide to say that XYZ is a sin, not only are you affecting that one person's life, but now you're affecting the wife and also the partner that they're sleeping with on the side. Well, people shouldn't cheat. Well, guess what? Should we like castrate people? Like, you tell me, okay? You want patriarchy? I'm just listening. I'll obey. Just like tell me what we're doing, okay?
Follows.
But so you're saying that these red pill men are secular, therefore we have to speak to them in terms of a secular language, what the pros and the cons are. There is still a secular argument to be made for why you should not be sleeping with a bunch of women. Like,
quite frankly, say like if you want to say homosexuality is a sin, because I hear a lot of times religious people respectfully will say something of the sort, well, I don't think the gays should get married. And it's like, okay, well, put that number one on the list of why people cheat on each other. Think about it. You're not only like people are like, I don't think they should get married. I'm like, really? I think they should. Get them out of the pool of other people dating. It's like, who are they harming? And it's like, well, do they have to harm somebody? And it's like, no, there's countries that are against it, but they have higher rates of STDs. So less access to sex ed, less access to healthcare in order to treat those. Like, to me, like, I want my gays to be able to get married. I actually used to say when I was younger, I'm not going to get married literally unless they can. I worked in a gay nightclub. whatever. My best friend was gay growing up. Like, but you can't tell me not to give that. Like, that's like half of my fucking circle. You know what I mean? So let's say that it's a sin. Okay. Just follow me down the logic, because to me, you're breaking up homes indirectly by saying that it can be, or that it should be outlawed or something. Like, they should get married. Now, should they have kids? A lot of people say that's up for debate. I personally have 2 friends that were adopted into, one was 2 dads and one was 2 moms, and they're great. They're flourishing. So, like, I don't know. Obviously, that's anecdotal. I'm sure they struggled with some stuff, but parents are really cool. Like, sometimes I think even somebody who's on the conservative side of things, sometimes I think we fear monger each other, and one of them being that, like, the gays are out to get your kids. But no, the ones that are out to get your kids are secretly gay. Like, let that sink in. I think one of the more harmful things to children is the shaming the homosexuality, in my opinion, because that is a clear, I say it all the time, that is a clear way to get a groomer to really build a bond with a kid. I understand you can't come out. I can't either. It disgusts me. And we don't talk about it enough. The rates of pedophilia in the gay community will shock you. Honestly, do your own research. But we don't talk about it enough. We forget. And every single person I worked with at the nightclub in Las Vegas had some story, and it was heartbreaking. They're just kids. Kids. 8.
One night stands and pickup artist style. There's
Sure.
still a secular argument.
Yeah, sure.
To be made
You can
for
make that.
society why
Yes.
that is worse.
You can make that secular argument, but here's the thing: it's not enough to destroy their worldview if you can't offer them one that's better. And what they hear is hypocrisy, and what they hear is nonsense. What they hear is you saying, "Hey, the best thing that you can do is get
Okay.
married," in spite of the fact.
Okay, so Justin says, no, Torshaa, the problem is God is the author of life, and 2 of the same sex doesn't create life. That is why the devil prefers it, unfortunately. Gotcha. I don't know. I've heard different interpretations. Shane? Like, I have... six gay friends who are Christian that, like, go to church on Easter. Does that mean that they're going to hell? Well, that would be like Catholic. Is that bad? What happens? God damn it. Y'all be sleeping with Satan.
Fact that my values say that you're not even really married, that these are insane positions which are put together in order to attack the red pill who's just trying to get.
Talk to Milo Yiannopoulos about gayness and child molestation. I would love to. If you guys know the best way to contact him. Didn't he fall off? Where's he been?
Give descriptive truths. I'm not saying that their prescriptions are great. That's where you get into some of the pickup artist stuff. Most of them don't make prescriptions, though. Rolo calls it a praxeology. It's not, but he calls it a praxeology. These different people have different names for it, but they're just trying to give descriptive claims for how the world actually works. And all I see is you beating the hell out of them and kissing the ass of former prostitutes like Nala and kissing the ass of all of these women and saying, how dare you? How dare you, Pearl Davis? How dare you, Andrew Wilson? Say that you think that, oh, I don't know, maybe this chick who had sex with hundreds of men on film has done absolutely nothing to show the fruits or in any way really repent or show any remorse for this. How dare you not?
Tori, do you think that EPAR makes homos? No, I don't. There's I think it could be very confusing for somebody. For sure. That's what you're talking about, like if they were molested. I do remember some people at the nightclub talking about it. And I don't remember verbatim anything, but I do remember like them saying it was very confusing. So I don't know entirely. I'm sure there's a case for it. But I would also say that I think when they did studies on men and women separately, and they asked, and they showed pictures of men, heterosexual, straight men, to women, like a straight man and a woman kissing, then two gay men kissing, then two lesbians kissing. What they found was that the women who said they were heterosexual were more bisexual. But that wasn't the same case for men. The heterosexual men only got boners. Sorry for lack of for explaining this more appropriately. Like the straight men that said they were straight. They didn't get turned on by pictures of men kissing or women kissing. But some of the men that what was it? It was like some men. There was something about inclusivity or whatever, but it came down to something with like, forgive me, like non-binary. I don't know that stuff, to be honest with you. I'll look it up again. It was Kingsley Institute. But what they found was that women's sexuality is more circular and men's is more of like a straight line. So what does that mean? It can mean a bunch of different things. Does it mean sexuality is inherent? Does it mean that women have been socialized to be more gay, if you will? Like girls sleep in the same bed when they're younger. You know, it could be so many different things. I would say that humans are probably more fluid than they're not. And this is coming from somebody that's literally, I've only been with men, never thought about women in that way. I don't know. One of the things I see the most on the YouTube space, at least, is a lot of like homophobia. And all that tells me is that you're gay and don't know it yet. And to me, like, you just become like, not a liability, but you just become miserable to be around. You're a hater. The people you see hating a lot are probably in the closet. And I'm not just saying that. Like, that sounds insane, but you won't be able to unsee it. Ones that like, and it sucks because they can't be who they want to be. I would say, okay, but like following up to your question, can EPAR make somebody gay? No, I don't think so. I think it's an unfortunate event that happens. I think in any EPAR situation, your body will do whatever it can to protect you, whether that's the big O for a girl or a boner for a man. But if you find that you also get turned on by, you know, erotica that's homosexual, or whatever, explore it, because I don't think it could make sense. Like, if I put myself in that situation, I could definitely see how I would be confused. But that was an unfortunate event that happened against somebody's will of consent. But who are you? Who are you without that? Who are you in next to that? Like, I don't think they were directly correlated, I guess would be the best way. But I can definitely tell how it makes it confusing. But I'm going to be honest with you. I dated a bisexual man. Okay. They didn't tell me right away. He took that away from I'm just kidding. But they were they? Yeah, I think they were ashamed. I can't remember. Yeah, they were obviously ashamed. They didn't tell me for 3 months. And quite honestly, so you like some dick. Who cares? You guys know there's an entire category of sexuality called men who have sex with men. And the reason they have this is because a lot of men who were messing around with dudes on the side were not telling doctors that they were, because they were ashamed of it, because to everybody else they were straight. They couldn't deal with it. But high rates of STDs were going on, and it obviously was coming from men cheating with men, in my opinion. That they created another category called MSM, which is men who have sex with men, which essentially is, we get you're straight, okay, but you've been doing a little gay shit on the side, but you're not gay. Like, that's where we've gotten, because men feel they cannot be honest about who they're attracted to. Like, to me, that's wild. It's a step in the right direction, I guess, but I don't know. Wrap it. Okay. We're not doing raw. Okay. Always practice safe sex. Thank you. I'd be a great mother.
Not kiss their ass. Yeah, that's a losing message. It's a losing message.
I'm not saying that anyone needs to kiss Nala's ass. I'm just saying that as Christians, we cannot make a judgment as to whether or not she has been saved. And it is possible that she has been saved. That's my position on Nala.
That wasn't just your position. Your position in your video was also to attack people like Pearl Davis, who is the only one, was the only one out of you sea of harpies, that's my words, okay, who wasn't kissing this woman's ass. She was the only one who actually didn't get on her knees and kiss this prostitute's ass because she got dunked at heresychurch.com. The only one.
So it sounds like when you say that she just got dunked at heresychurch.com, do you believe that you don't believe that Nala has been saved? Do you believe it's possible that she has been?
Of course, I would not make a claim to the salvation, but what I would say is I would definitely not be attacking creators like Pearl Davis, who are pointing out that, hey, you Christians should not be running to embrace this. You Christians should not be running to say that, hey, this is necessarily even a good thing that she's doing the testimony roadshow and look how saved I am. That is the opposition of the Christian ethic. She was the only one in a whole sea of you women who came after her, who stood her ground and said no. That's respectable.
Specifically said that Jesus isn't going to save these hoes. I think Jesus can save some of them. I think he will save some of them.
Not save them from the consequence of their actions. That's what she means by that. Not that they can't find salvation through Jesus Christ, but that Jesus isn't going to save them from the consequences of their actions. They're not. You can't use Christianity.
You mean in a world like, because obviously if Jesus saves them, it is from the consequences of their actions, their sinfulness on a spiritual level. But you mean
I'm talking about in the world, yes,
dating.
Yeah, in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's her point.
That's not something I disagree with. Like the idea, and I've said this online. I've said this multiple times. Nala,
what she means is, I'll just frame it the best way I can. Jesus can save these hoes' soul. Okay, but men are not going to be able to save these hoes in the world, and women are not going to be able to save these hoes in the world. And it sure would be nice.
Don't worry, ladies. Jesus got us. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't promote promiscuity. Okay. Even to my gays. Okay, especially my gays. Okay, y'all be just fucking like, no tomorrow, stop it. Okay, I know what y'all be doing, stop that. I've heard from them that like it's very like devoid of love in certain spaces, particularly the gays, the men. So find one partner and stop hoeing it out. Like, guys, people have flaws. Recognize them. Stop looking for the next right thing. Go to Chuck E. Cheese or something. Like, go buy a bottle of Jaeger. I probably shouldn't promote that. Like, go to the pool. Okay? Stop looking for another hole.
If some of them actually faced the consequences for their actions, were held to account without a what about the Mendo argument from commentators like you, Lauren.
What do you mean, what about the Mendo?
Because what about the Mendo? Every time that we get into these discussions, and we even in this discussion / debate that we're having right now, almost every single time we bring up the female promiscuity issue, you bring it right back to men. You call the men the homemakers. You call the men the people who are responsible. You did. You said the red pillars are exacerbating the same issue they rage against. The thing is interesting here is when you're talking about hypergamy, that would actually be in opposition to your point. That's point one. And then point two is that while there are homemakers inside of these red pill spaces, most of them are feminists. And most of the debates I do with these red pillars, I prove that they're feminists because they embrace the ethic of destroying patriarchy for the purpose of degeneracy. But it's not a men's problem here. This is a woman's problem.
I very much, I disagree that I don't think that the problem is also amongst women and the women's promiscuity. I've done who knows how many videos at this point talking about promiscuity specifically amongst women, including women who do OnlyFans. I very much believe that this is, I mean, women are the gatekeepers of sex historically. So
that's a red pill talking point.
Actually. Hello, bitches. So people will say women are gatekeepers of sex and men are gatekeepers of relationship. Rolo and I say women are gatekeepers of both. Like, we could keep saying that. I understand why people assume that women are gatekeepers of sex and therefore shame her, but that's just men avoiding accountability in that regard. And you're probably like, how? And it's like, usually when we go on down that talking point, it's men that are like, well, you opened your legs for them. It's like, that was two people. Okay. Whether somebody lied, don't get me wrong, women be hoeing out. Okay. Y'all tell me stories about yachts and shit. Who was that? Yoda? It's like, shame on you. Shame on you. For what? Was it worth it? You nasty.
Yeah, it's a correct talking point.
All of the descriptors are mostly correct. I still haven't actually heard what you've done is conflated red pill with pickup artists. I haven't actually heard a single criticism of the red pill.
So you seem to, when we talk about even like feminists or red pill, you're like, this is specifically what the most basic belief structure that each one of them holds. Therefore, anything absent that's not really feminism. That's not really red pill.
No, I'm not giving you a no true Scotsman fallacy. I can explain. You're trying to move into a no true Scotsman fallacy, and that's not what I'm saying.
No. That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, it is.
Let me finish. Okay. So I'm taking the position of this is what the movements exist as. Like the feminist movement. This is what the feminist movement represents. These are what feminists argue for. This is what the red pill movement represents. These are what, and again,
okay, you heard it here. Rollo and I have talked about this. We have many of the same pet peeves. Red pill is not a movement. It's not a philosophy. What else? There's so many. If you guys can remember them, those are probably two. If you ever hear anybody say the red pill movement, just like throw the whole bitch away. Like the ideology, it's not an ideology. It's not a cult. It gives cult vibes sometimes, but you're on the wrong side. Okay, bring it back over here where we're normal.
I specifically will talk about people like Pearl Davis because I will fully acknowledge that I don't follow people like Rollo Tomasi, or I'm sure there's other ones who are part of it.
I don't know. Rollo. Like, what are you talking about? Everybody's scared of Rollo. Did you guys know that? Rollo's crazy on Twitter. He's sassy. I'd be scared of him too.
That I don't follow. Like, this is what red pill as a movement has brought.
What has it brought?
Tell us.
Well, I think if we're talking about the red pill movement, there's absolutely the idea and that male promiscuity should be excused or is not as bad as female promiscuity.
And what is
literally the only time that they're talking about that is to prove a point of something else. The issue is that people will attach their belief sets to it. Should men be hoes? No, but are they? They can't be. You know what I'm saying? It's like telling me to grow a dick. Okay. No offense, man. Okay, I get it. It's not easy out in those streets, you know? But it's not, should men be able to cheat? No. obviously, if we keep telling them that, then they do it, right? Everybody knows you shouldn't cheat. Okay, but behavior trumps everything, but nobody promotes it. There's some people that will give their own prescriptions, other creators, and that's why there should have never been prescriptions ever. Like Andrew's really big on finding prescriptions, but it's been a long year, a couple years, longer than that, probably like 10 years of no prescriptions on purpose, because you have idiots that will take it literally like it's a math equation and try to apply to it. And when they can't get certain outcomes, high risk, suicide type shit. So there are no prescriptions. Obviously, I've said it before, if somebody who is Christian enters the space, you will expect outcomes inevitably, because that's the way of life. That's the religion. Virtues, I don't know. So you know what I mean. And I support that. I say, hey, to the lost men, find a religion. If that's something that you think you'd benefit from, absolutely do it. Don't let certain red pill creators try to tell you that you shouldn't go in the church to find leftover women. Like, it's not happening like that. I'm sure there are many single women that go into the church as like a last ditch effort, but you're all smart, okay? Don't go for them. You have autonomy, y'all. Single moms are killing it in the church and out of the church. Let's just saying. But yeah, find religion, follow it. If you guys are looking for more red pill content in regards to Christianity specifically, Dalrock, I'll put his name in the chat. He was an OG red pill blogger who dismantled a lot of Christian beliefs, more specifically what was going on in the church. Like, I highly recommend him. He's really good. It's like up there with Rollo and shit. But Dalrock is really good. Rollo mentions him in the 4th book in Rational Male Religion. He used to write. Now he exited it. He like put a goodbye message on his blog. You probably won't be able to go to dalrock.com, but you can go to the Red Pill archive. Go to the Red Pill subreddit. You'll find him there. He's like underrated. Really is. But if you don't follow anything in religion, you probably won't follow his work, to be honest with you. I mean, it's like cherry picked is a bad word, but like, you'll see. If you go and check it out, you'll be like, what is he talking about if you're not familiar with religion? But he's really good. He criticizes Protestant church for obvious reasons. No offense. Okay. I personally, all the people I know who are Protestant are the most generous, kind, probably some of the nicest Christians I know. They're all nice. Okay. If you're ever trying to find nice people, you can almost guarantee they're in the church. Popular to contrary belief. The haters will like to say otherwise, but it's not true. But the ones that I met, at least out here in Rockford over the past 3 years, that go to a Protestant church, they're very nice people. But the reason people criticize them is because it's like their church is sort of woke. Okay. They kind of tiptoe around the idea of obedience, obeying your husband with fear that they're going to piss off women. So it's kind of become less structured. That's honestly, if I had to put it in TLDR terms, that's probably the most. But wokeness is the biggest disease.
Is there evidence for this?
This is something, well, I'm talking specifically about people like Pearl Davis, like Myron.
No, Pearl Davis nor Myron say this. Here's what they say. They give a descriptor. This is the problem, right? You don't know what you're talking about on these issues. The descriptor...
No,
religious people also do most of the crime. Check it out. Actually, me and who was it? We actually talked about this and they explained it pretty well. Of course, people who commit crimes, think about it. Like, are you religious? Of course they are. Because now they're in solitary confinement. You know what I mean? Are they practicing? Probably not. If you ask any American if they're religious, there's a large proportion that would say yes, but it's like clear that they're not. I mean, our society is in the ground, baby. You know what I mean? So I think if I had to speak on behalf of my Christians, because I know they won't, these convicts are hijacking our religion, which we welcome, but like, don't put us in that camp.
I'm going to tell you the descriptor.
It's not the same when a man
It's not,
cheats
and
as
here's
when a woman
why.
cheats.
The descriptor here is true. Here's the descriptor. The descriptor is that promiscuity in society is not punished by women towards men because of hypergamy. However, it is punished by men towards women, meaning the value set due to our ontology, which is different, right? Women seem to not be as upset by male promiscuity as men get by female promiscuity. This is objectively true. We have all of the data you could possibly imagine proving that this is true. Women seem to not care so much. Now, this could have something to do with the penetrative act, because if you look at homosexuality, for instance, both sides seem to be they have a disgust reaction to this. It could be due to the penetrative nature. I'm not exactly sure why this exists as a descriptive truth, but it is descriptively true. That is their point. Their point is not whether or not this behavior is good for men. Most red pillars say that promiscuity for men is not a good thing, in fact. But that doesn't mean that the descriptive truth that is viewed differently between the sexes isn't true, because it is. It most definitely is.
But then, you come along and say Pearl actually means XYZ. Let me explain it. This is not what Pearl is saying when she is online, when she is tweeting out. This is a very different thing, and this is where I think
Pearl, what did you do? Does anybody know why she's so mad? Pearl, leave it to Pearl to trigger someone.
Shoots herself in the foot a lot, because I don't know if she's engagement farming to try to like say things in the most provocative way possible, but she does not.
Yes, guys, content creators, the definition actually says either people who are entertainers or educational that do like video format content. But most people in the red pill space are not educators. You can make the case for Rollo, Rhinestone, and them. But like at the end of the day, we're entertainers. And to entertain, you use satire, shock value to elicit an emotional response. She's saying it like it's a bad thing. But I would rather Pearl, who has publicly said that she is an entertainer and not educator, I would rather her, like, it'd be one thing if Pearl was like, I am coaching men. Sorry, Pearl. I am coaching men on how to be red pill. Because then it's like, if she's eliciting these emotional response, it's like she's grifting. But because she's not, she's an entertainer. She's getting people to talk about these issues. The best, like, oh shit. Hi, Lokai. The way to get people talking in this day and age is to do emotional posts like that. I find them to be a great time. I enjoy reading them.
Say that men and women, or she does not just say that, cheating is viewed differently from men as it is women, therefore whatever. She will actually say that it's not a big deal if a man cheats. Like,
no.
just
what happens, and Pearl also clarified this, and I even have the tweets of her clarifying this. She's clarified it a million times. But what happens is, because you have a character limitation, what people do, and it's a leftist game, they take what is said out of context. They portray that as a position of Pearl Davis, even though she's clarified it 100 times, that promiscuity for men is not good. However, it is a more understandable in society because they're not punished for it by women the same way women are punished for it by men. This operates under incentives. That's showing you an incentive difference.
But I think she's also, she's leading her audience down the wrong path, because you'll have men like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles who argue for marriage very strongly.
Yeah, that's right. They argue for secular marriage and have the same contradiction you do, which is why the red pill doesn't take them seriously.
Can I finish?
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
She'll look at someone like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and say like, well, your marriages aren't representative because you are the X%, so you can't translate your experience universally toward men. It's like, okay, but simultaneously she will just say it's not as big of a deal for men to cheat. If you look at a lot of women in their relationships with their husbands, with their boyfriends, they will absolutely think that is a big deal if they cheat. Now, if you're saying like, oh, well, the top 1%, their wives who might be trophy wives are not going to think it as big of a deal. They're going to turn the other cheek. Well, Pearl is doing the exact same thing that she accuses Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles of doing, trying to apply like the standards for the top 0.1% to the average male in the dating pool or in the marriage pool.
This is insane. This is insane framing because you want to point out hypocrisy where it doesn't exist. Matt Walsh and the Tradcons suffer from the exact same contradiction that you do, which is to give a green light to secularists to get married, which is degenerate in and of its own nature, is a degenerate, non-sacramental act.
I just asked Pearl, I was like, did you piss her off? I'm waiting for the tea. If you guys have direct tweets, let me know.
It is not a Catholic act. It is not an Orthodox act for secularists to engage in this kind of degeneracy in society and then wrap it up in a bow with a state contract. That's insanity. Not only that, but none of these guys actually are willing to debate the issues with any of these people. Rollo Tomasi, Myron, all of these different red pillars have done a call out to debate with the Daily Wire people on this particular issue because they're straw man. Hang on, because they're straw man so heavily, and none of them will do it. Not one. So that tells me, right? At least you could, like, I have some respect for you, at least, Lauren, because you showed up to do the debate. I mean, kudos to you. Great. At least we had it. These guys won't even show up to a debate. We had it all set up with Myron Gaines. We had it all set up on whatever. We've had it set up a dozen times to take these guys to task on their absurd criticisms of what is considered the red pill, and they refuse to even show up. Instead, they go into a smoke-filled cigar room and film each other kissing each other's asses and talking about how great it is that they want secular people to get married. Oh, wow, we've really won the culture.
No, we shouldn't. I wouldn't consider myself a secularist. Thank you for the super chat. Keep your girl off OnlyFans, one chat at a time. Lauren was there for a discussion and Andrew was there for a debate. This is a cop-out. Really? Did she not do her research? You guys know my biggest pet peeve. It's not a debate. I don't like that. When I hear that, it just tells me that she was unprepared. Is that what you mean? I think I forgot to read some of the... Did I? Thank you for the super chat. Keep your girl off OnlyFans, one chat at a time. Men can wait for kids. Women can't because of eggs. Men cannot wait for kids. They can wait a little bit longer. But I find that you're doing more harm than good if you wait too long. Save your sperm. Freeze your sperm. Can you do that? Take care of your health. For the men that go on TRT at an older age, one thing to be cautious of is it either reduces sperm count or it affects... Think of it like Accutane for your sperm. Okay, just be careful. Okay, take care of yourself. But just something to keep in mind. I know a lot of people are going on like hormone replacement therapy.
Sure now, Lauren.
Well, I mean, to be fair to them, like, I'm not a Daily Wire employee. I'm not a fan of the Daily Wire as a whole. I like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, though. But Andrew Klavan and Michael Knowles have both sat down with Pearl specifically. They have had those conversations. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have further ones.
Yeah, Klavan got destroyed by Pearl Davis, who's not even a good debater. Yeah, I can't even tell you how badly it would go for the Daily Wire guys to have guys like me who I'm not even a red pillar. I just don't straw man their position. Same thing, Rollo Tomasi, Myron Gaines, all of these guys, they would absolutely obliterate them, and that's why they hide, because they don't have prescriptions to these problems. And that's a big problem if you're out there advocating for Christianity, and what ends up happening is we all look stupid, we get pummeled, these guys in their spaces laugh at us, and I don't blame them.
Do you think that there exists a way for, I guess, there are secular adjustments to marriage that the red pill community would look at and think, you know, you're right, this does change my view of marriage and whether I should get married?
Repeat the question.
What do I always say, y'all? Men always get married. It doesn't matter how much fear mongering happens. They always get married. We could tell them a million times, don't do it. But like I said before, behavior trumps everything. Men are going to do what they want to do. You can only lead the horse to the water. You can't make it drink it. Okay. Obviously, be smart with your assets. Okay. Do smart shit before you get involved. Get a prenup. And those get thrown out. Yeah, if you're a fucking idiot, get a prenup. I don't know how to bring it up to her. It's insurance for your marriage. You want something? Let's discuss it now. Period. You want the government to decide? Okay. Just don't let her know that they're on her side. Like if I got married and had a prenup, if you cheat on me, every bitch you cheat on me with, I get $1 million. Just right away. Transferred. I get all the home. I get all the cars. Paid off. Just kidding. I'm somebody's future ex-wife. That's what guys at the bar used to say. Wow, you look like my future ex-wife. I was like, ooh, that's good. And you look like somebody I'd fuck up my credit for. Let's get married. Just kidding. Do not get married if a condom failed. Yeah, don't. But be there for the child. For sure. The kids didn't ask for your fuck up. Okay. Children are a great thing. I know people don't want children out of wedlock, but guess what? Shit happens. I think you are winning if you can only do one thing, and you could either have kids or get married. Having kids would probably be the better one, as long as you're not being a fucking douche. No, as long as you're being responsible to the best that you can. Parents can't do everything, though. They can try. If you want them, that's half the battle. There's a lot of people that have kids that didn't want them. And those are the ones that I find have, well, they all have a hard time. But if you didn't want them, I don't know. What's everybody saying? I'm going to let my dogs out and stuff because I don't want to keep playing this and not be around. But I'm going to bring the stream back as long as it's not too late. I know we went over. Hi, Lokai. I'm coming, babe. I know. She's like, my mom. Can you guys leave my mom alone? Do you see her? I see you, baby. Okay. Gotta let him out. Call me a lot of things. You can't call me a bad dog mom. Like the video, subscribe, because I don't know exactly when I'll be on, but I'm going to try to get back really quickly. And if I don't, then we'll do it in the morning. But I'd like to ideally do some sort of a call-in stream tonight. Comment if you're down for that. Okay, bye.